So, just randomly in the middle of my workout, the footage you're seeing here is like in the middle of my workout. I decided, like, you know what? Before my last set of chin ups, I'm just gonna do a one arm chin up. And then I did it. And I was able to get my chin, over my fingers, over the ring. And I was able to come down slow controlled. And I'm just like stoked. I'm like, bro, no way. And this is like the second time I've done a chin up. And then right after this, I tried to follow it with the left arm. You're gonna see in a second how well I did with the left arm. Now, in terms of like strength and everything, like I barely moved. I barely even budged. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna have to see how I can get my left arm better. And so here, this was last year, 2023, July. So during the summer. Um, Not even really with chin up. I almost got there, but I was still pretty stoked at the time. So, and I was able to achieve this one arm chin up on my right arm without training for it. Right now, I don't have like the most best perfect one arm chin up form or whatever the case may be. I don't even think I can do like multiple chin ups in a row. So it's really just about like me staying consistent to just the basic movements, right? Like, over the course of just me even starting this channel, I've probably done like hundreds and hundreds of chin-ups, just by practicing that movement day in, day out, basically. And with that, it's allowed me to kind of like have the strength to do it with one arm. Like, now sure, maybe it's only in my dominant arm and I don't have, enough chin-up strength or arm strength in my left arm. But still, like, a one-arm chin-up, it's a one-arm chin-up. And again, it might not be like the most strictest perfect form, like as if I was doing a regular pull-up or whatever the case may be. But still, like, that's a relatively impressive feat of strength, right? Most people can't even do a pull-up, one pull-up or 3 consecutive pull-ups, and I'm over here being able to do a chin-up with one arm, right? So I wasn't expecting that I was going to be able to do this. I didn't think that I had the strength again. So technically, ever since I did my one-arm chin-up last summer, technically, like, I know that I would have had the strength, or that I do have the strength. But I know because at some point I got heavier. I started eating more, of course, and kind of bulking up a bit. So that strength kind of went away. A lot of body weight movements, it requires you to be at a much lighter body weight. So that way you can perform like more volume or more movements in general. Like when you start bulking, let's say you can do 20 good clean push-ups, that might go down to like 15 or something like that when you start to gain like 10 pounds, 15 pounds, however many pounds. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure over time, let's say when I do gain weight or decide to gain more weight, I'm probably not going to be able to do that one arm chin up again. I also don't plan, so after doing this, just this one arm chin up, I don't plan to like train it and to get better at it. Ideally, not ideally, but me personally, I don't really care too much about like those high level skills in calisthenics, at least not right now. I remember I was really obsessed with them. I was obsessed with like getting like iron cross, trying to train planche, front lever, stuff like that. But then I kind of slowly lost interest. Things became like a lot more complicated when it comes to training. It wasn't super straightforward, and plus, like at the time, I didn't even have like enough gains. I was trying to do all these complex movements and stuff like that without even like actually having enough muscle to do so. And another thing is that I was doing a lot of the movements because I felt like, oh, this is gonna get me like a really built back and stuff like that. I'm gonna have like a huge back from doing front levers. I'm gonna have like these crazy biceps and shoulders just from doing planche. No, it is the basic movements that build you those muscles, right? And that's what I focus on. I focus mainly on just the basic movements, right? Kind of like, I would say, technically my training style, quote unquote, if you want to, say I have a training style, is mostly derived from or inspired from just like the New York calisthenics bros, right? All they really do is just like, chin-ups, push-ups, pull-ups, dips, just bodyweight movements, basic bodyweight movements. You don't really see them out here like trying to train a front lever for time or whatever the case may be. And I'm not interested in training like, front lever for like 3 seconds and then moving on to like static holds or something like that. It's just not interested in that. Like now I'll do like Elsa chin-ups, right? Like how you see me doing here. Or I might do different variations of exercise like straight bar dips. But that's still like just a different variation of the basics. It's not like I'm trying to do straight bar dips so I can do planche, at some point. It's not like I'm doing I don't know, push-ups so one day I can do, I don't know, whatever these movements are. I'm just not interested in that. I'm very much interested and very much in love, honestly, with just the basic movements, especially the pull-up and the push-up. Those are probably like my two favorite just movements in calisthenics, and then of course the bodyweight squat. And that's all I want. So sure, I have the strength to do a one-arm chin-up, but personally I am not interested in trying to train to get better at a one-arm chin-up, right? Or even do a one-arm pull-up. It is not my personal interest. I don't really care for it. It is awesome that I can do it. And what it shows is that over time, when you're practicing the basics over and over again, you can get those movements eventually. An example like this outside of like, me, there is Hannibal for King. Ever since the age of 10 or 12, I think, he was in New York, on the bars, doing push-ups, pull-ups, dips, stuff like that. And he was just doing that for like years, like 15 years. He was just doing basic movements. And then at some point, like, his friend asked him to like, hey, can you lean forward on a dip? And he leaned forward, and then he leaned even further. And he's basically doing like these kind of like, banana planche dips or whatever the case may be, or banana planche push-ups. He's able to do front lever. He can do like these crazy like muscle ups and stuff like that with close grip and wide grip. Very, very, very skilled calisthenics athlete. You should look him up if you don't know who I'm talking about. He's like one of the main guys I just look up to when it comes to calisthenics. And sure, he can do all these skills and everything like that. But that took like literally a lifetime. He's in his 40s now. He started when he was like literally prepubescent, and now now that he's in his 40s, he's not at his peak, but he was at his peak, around the time he was getting very popular, which was about 13 years ago, 12, 11, 10 years ago even. And his performance was like amazing. He's able to do all these crazy feats. Even now, still in his 40s, he can do these crazy feats. Again, go look him up. He's like literally the king of calisthenics, right? If it wasn't for him, the channels that I get inspired by wouldn't exist. I wouldn't exist. Your favorite calisthenics athlete wouldn't really be doing stuff. Him and like all the other like calisthenics guys in New York, they set it on the map, right? Yeah, so another lesson too is just like stick to the basics. Stick to the basics. I'm not saying that you shouldn't try and aspire to be able to perform like these advanced level movements or gymnastic style movements, like some type of ring muscle up variation, or planche, front lever, whatever the case may be, Maltese. If you want to go for it, go for it. But at some point, it's like you can't start too early. You have to build a good foundation. Like spend a year, ideally like 3 years probably, just doing the basics, right? Just building muscle, right? Just building muscle and strength through calisthenic movements. And then so that way you can have the strength capacity, because you have bigger muscles, you will have the strength capacity to be able to do those movements a lot easier, or have a much easier time doing those movements. And that's kind of like the process that I've went through, and that's also the process that Hannibal for King went through, and many other calisthenics athletes went through. Because, and then one thing too is like, all these like, crazy advanced movements, they've only become popular in the past couple of years, right? Way before people were just doing pull-ups and push-ups, right? Probably not even doing dips, I don't know. They were just doing the basics, and then, at some point, once kind of like gymnastics kind of merged into, I guess, with like the street, you could say. So, a lot more street workout enthusiasts started training for like planche, Maltese, front lever. And that's what, it just got a lot more popular. So now you have people who are just now starting working out, even, calisthenics, and they immediately want to do a planche, they immediately want to do a front lever, and they don't even have the muscle mass for it yet. For at least they don't have the muscle mass for it for their size. If you're smaller, and depending on your leverages, like how long your limbs are, how long your legs are, doing these movements you're gonna have a much easier time, and you won't need as much muscle. But if you're like me, 6 foot, weight, or even taller, long legs like how I do, you're gonna need a lot more muscle. You're gonna need a lot more strength to like do these movements as efficiently, or even close to efficiently, as these people who have like the ideal genetics for these movements. And I'm not trying to say like, oh, you might as well give up, you don't have the good genetics. No, strive for it, strive for whatever you want to strive for. Do the absolute best you can and stick to it. But again, just remember like the parameters, right? We're all not born the same. Some of us are gonna have an easier time doing things, and just the rest of us are gonna have to work a lot harder. And there's nothing wrong with that at all, because just working a lot harder is going to build a lot more personality and a lot more character, and just a lot more, I feel like, just morals, because you know what it's like to just spend so much time and so much energy and just so much effort into something that felt like as if it was never going to come your way, but then all of a sudden it's there now, right? Because you put in that work, you put in that effort, you allowed for your own blessings to basically be received to you by your own work. Yeah, I guess that's like, just the lesson I have in general. Stick to the basics. Maybe not even just with like exercise. Stick to just the basic things. Do those over and over again. Don't overcomplicate things, right? Maybe I could have gotten a one-arm chin-up, and I could have been a lot more consistent with doing one-arm chin-ups if I like was really serious about training for it. But again, I don't really care. Now, if you care, go ahead, bro. Go ahead and do all the exercises you need to get good at one-arm chin-ups. And another thing, don't try and pursue all of these advanced movements at once, right? That was a mistake I also did, right? I tried to pursue all these movements at one time, and I, of course, moved nowhere. And then at some point, I started focusing on front lever a lot more, and I was able to get to like straddle. Sometimes, I guess, depending on how well warmed up I am, now I can do like almost full front lever, but I can only hold it for like maybe a second, 2 seconds. And that's without training for it, right? I've stopped training for it for like almost a year now, probably more than a year. Because, like, again, I don't really care for it. But with me doing the basics and just sticking to the basics, and then, getting lean over time and everything like that, a lot of these movements come easy. So again, just stick to what's real, stick to the basics, and it'll take you a long way.